Let's just fool me once. Shame on you. To fool me, we can't get fooled again.
Welcome back in to David O'Gray, off code and off script. Got your news and your commentary for today, but first, the sponsors. This video is being sponsored by Aura, the new standard in digital security. What is the state of your family's digital security? If it's not something you thought about, then you should. You know, my family, we've had a rough go at it with the whole identity theft thing. My third oldest daughter, when she was away at college, she had her ID stolen and her social security card stolen. So, and then what happened, these people who were stolen, they went to Verizon and they opened up a whole new phone account and purchased 2 new iPhones or put on the bill. So now we're getting this bill for this Verizon account that we know nothing about. On top of that, the same people used her ID and her social security card to make a successful unemployment claim for unemployment insurance, which means they had to use her ID and her social security card to open up a bank accounts so to get those deposits. So this is a huge mess. Police got involved. Took a long time to get her credit fixed. So this type of thing, it hurts you. It hurts your ability to provide for your family. And if you don't think it can happen to you, I think you're fooling yourself. It's happened to like 33% of all Americans. 1/3 of Americans have been victims of identity theft. And American consumers have lost $56 billion to identity theft since 2020. So that's why I'm excited to partner with Aura, who is sponsoring this video. Aura is a digital security solution that protects your identity, online accounts, devices with one simple subscription. You'll get alerts of fraud and threats fast, like if your online accounts or passwords were leaked online, or if someone tries to open a bank account in your name or social security number. Or will also protect your devices from malware and encrypt your Wi-Fi connection so you can shop, bank, and stream online securely. With an easy online dashboard and alerts sent straight to your phone, Aura keeps you in control and guides you through solving any issues. All plans come with a $1 million in identity theft insurance to help you recover eligible losses and experience US-based customer support that got your back. So if you have assets and a family worth protecting, then I recommend you go to Aura. Go to aura.com. That's aura.com/David Gray to start your 14-day free trial today. It costs you nothing to try it out. In fact, it may save you for more than you're willing to lose. So go to aura.com/David Gray and start your free trial right after the video is over. If you forget the website, just go in the description box below. It's there. Is aura.com/David Gray. Start your free trial. I also like to thank my sponsors, who are you, my Patreons, those that went to Patreon and joined my team, my Patreon team. So if you haven't joined, please do. Get your name scrolling below. Go to my website where it's there. You can go to patreon.com. Find me there, David Gray. Lilly, the AT&T Girl Lilly, she calls her abortion a beautifully boring thing. So she had abortion 10 years ago. AT&T Girl Lilly, she calls it a beautifully boring thing. And you've seen her in commercials. You know, her real name is Milana Vayntrub. She's from the Soviet Union. She's a daughter of some Jewish refugees. So Melania, in her Daily Beast interview, she calls her abortion 10 years ago a beautifully boring thing. And she says the opposite of what is actually true. She said that abortion restrictions disproportionately affect the most vulnerable. She says the blacks and the Latinos. It affects them the most. That abortion restrictions are racist and classless. Which is actually not true. It's actually just the complete opposite of that. And the fact that, because abortion has always been about eugenics. It's always been pushed by eugenicists. So from people like Hitler to people like Margaret Sanger and her Planned Parenthood, abortion has always been tied to the eugenics movement, and it's always targeted the poor, the minorities, the peoples on the margins, those who the elites have deemed unfit to breed. So, and as a daughter of Jewish refugees, Melania should know her history and how eugenics have affected her ancestors. So back to the story. So Milana, her abortion So she was in college. She's living with her boyfriend. She was on birth control, missed a couple birth control pills, and so she ends up pregnant. She takes a pregnancy test, and she says she realizes immediately, without any hesitation, that she had to kill her baby. That there was no hesitation about it. She knew that she had to do it. It's her body, her choice, because she wasn't in a position to raise her child. But she wasn't in a position to have sex and take birth control, but she just wasn't in a position to handle the consequences of her actions. So she decided to kill her actions, and she never second guessed it. So, and again, she says her abortion was a beautifully boring thing. And she says this, I quote about it. She says that it was beautifully and boring, I quote, because today I can show up for my little person with my arms, my open arms, knowing that I chose our life together, unquote. So she's perfectly happy that her child's sibling was murdered 10 years ago, that her child's sibling had to die so that she can choose to live this life for them. I mean, the hubris, the pride, the ignorance, the demonic activity here. I mean, she's not spiritually well. I mean, we live in this sick world today where backwards logic like these lies being presented as facts, no moral compass whatsoever, passes off as rational behavior. People like this have a mental illness, a spiritual illness, and we celebrate it. We're celebrating psychosis. And therefore, we should be under no surprise whatsoever when we get what we deserve for breeding this culture of death. With Milana as AT&T's face, they need to change their slogan to reach out and kill someone. And one of the consequences of the culture of death that we have been breeding in this country for over half a century is that our children are killing themselves and are killing each other. When you tell a child that it is legal to kill the most defenseless among them, why would they care about those who can defend themselves? Until we start protecting life in the womb, defending life at later stages, will always be inconsistent. It will never make complete sense. Laws to kill the defenseless while protecting those who can defend themselves is an inconsistency that will always cause confusion. So when you hear about violence breaking out in middle schools and high schools in this country, has been an abundance of it this year in just 2022. Children throughout all these high schools and middle schools around the country, violence every day against each other. And when this stuff starts breaking out, you know the cause. You know the root of it. It's because we legally have laws in this country that we've told children that it's okay to kill little babies in the womb. And our children know that legalized murder means that the people in charge are animals. Las Vegas, I'm going to show you this video from a high school in Las Vegas just at the end of last week, where this merciless, this malicious assault took place with one girl and another, and the students in the classroom watching and laughing.
This video captures a moment a high school student was beaten repeatedly by another student in the classroom. Parents turned to social media.
And this is where we're at. I mean, you can call me naive. Call me naive by saying that legal child slaughter in room is the root cause of all this. But I'll tell you that until we foster true culture of life in our society, and a true culture of life begins where life begins. It doesn't begin at some later point. A true culture of life begins where life begins, and it is grounded in a belief in Him who is the author of that life. We recognize that we cannot take another life because the one who authored us also authored that life, so we have no right. So until we do that, so without that, we're all just on a path to becoming cannibals. Father Andres Arango from the Diocese of Phoenix, Arizona, he became the pastor of St. Gregory Parish in Phoenix in April 2017. And he just resigned from being pastor of that parish on February 1st of this year. after it was discovered that for all these years he had been baptizing using a formula of baptism of we baptize you in the name of the Father, in the name of the Son, and the Holy Spirit, rather than what the church's formula actually is, which is I baptize you in the name of the Father, in the name of the Son, in the name of the Holy Spirit. And so as a letter from Bishop Olmsted of Phoenix notes, that he says that it's not the community we that baptize the person, but rather it is Christ and him alone who presides at all the sacraments. So Father Arango, he still remains priest in good standing. And he's helping the diocese identify all those people whose baptisms all these years have been completely invalid. So really, this is really a note of warning for laity. I mean, out of ignorance or arrogance, whether during liturgy, confession, baptism, or any sacraments, you the laity, you the royal priesthood, you have to know what words the ordained priesthood is supposed to say. Educate yourself. I know most people in this country have at least heard of the Miranda rights. We at least know some of it, right? You got a right to remain silent. You got a right to attorney. If we don't have one will be provided to you. I think we all watch enough cop shows and know that if the police officer, if they're arresting a person, if they don't say that, then arrest is actually invalid. They have to read them their rights. How much more important is it for you to know the right words that the ordained priesthood should be saying at the sacraments? So whether it's the mass, the prayers of consecration, at the end of confession, during the ministering of baptism, the bishops and the priests are at your service. So, but you have a responsibility. Even though that's your service for your salvation, you still have a responsibility to protect yourself, guard your own salvation, and also guard the priest. A new whistleblower video has emerged from the 2020 November election out of Pennsylvania. In one set of videos I'll show you that the Federalist magazine obtained, a county official admits that there's no chain of custody for provisional ballots in 80% of the state's counties. No provision whatsoever. There's no chain of custody for any of the provisional ballots. People can do with them whatever they want. There's nothing in place to safeguard the provisional ballots. And then in the second video, the attorney for Delaware County, he openly admits to the whistleblower that the V drives, out of the voting machines that contain all the election results and voter data, there's no real chain of custody of those forever. And evidence of that is that the V drive came back from the state to the county and is missing data. It's missing complete sets of data for precincts. So watch this video.
And what we currently do not have is a valid chain of custody for the provisional ballots.
Then I also need another zip tie for sealing.
It's going to be it'll be the white one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we're going to keep using the white one, only all we're doing is, instead of telling poll workers that they need to seal that blue bag that they never sealed, we are now giving them a smaller bag to put the provisional ballots in, seal that bag, and put it in that blue bag.
So you're saying we've never had a chain of custody?
For the provisional, only 20% of the precincts. According to Crystal, 20% of precincts have blocked the blue bag in the past.
I had that before, yep.
Gotcha. Yeah.
And I told them after 8:30, that way, if that's okay.
Still quite concerned and baffled as to why Lorraine dumped all the V drives in a bag and just returned them that way.
What?
I almost said she was a fucking bitch, but there's 3 ladies here.
What? It's okay, we've heard that
Dumped
one
them
before.
in a bag,
No sort
put them in a box. She did some
How
sorting,
can she get away with
but
that?
then she put it in the big plastic bag and puts it on top of the hood of her car. This is the second day. I won't even tell you what she did the first day. She goes, now the traffic's going by. We don't have anything for Chester 1-1. We don't have the pinks for we don't, and Holcroft is missing. And I'm
Wait, out here?
And I said, yep, piece of paper with that on? No, that's why I'm telling it to you.
There was no inventory either.
No. And we had no idea what we were getting, so that when you're going through, you'd be looking for something and saying, I overlooked it. It's not here. Then she put the yellows, the whites, and the pinks in big plastic bags.
What are the
They're all
yellows,
in
whites, and the
there.
pinks?
I'm sorry?
What are the yellows, whites, and the pinks?
Therefore, loaded for the election.
Oh, okay.
We did color
that
coding
chart
to help
that
it.
had
Oh, okay.
Put them in there, and the box, when she handed it to me, everything had come out of the little slips, so we had to go through and make all the Haverfords together. So I left,
day
as I
was
told you, I left a very nasty voicemail. She hasn't called back. Jim Allen says she never will. She doesn't return his calls.
She doesn't?
John Barton doesn't return his
John
calls.
Barton.
Really?
Yeah, John Martin's retiring, and I think he's quit.
But there's nothing to see here. No widespread fraud has taken place. Like, we should really believe, we're supposed to believe that Pennsylvania should still be a swing state. Pennsylvania should still be allowed to determine the results of federal elections. I mean, what a joke. I mean, we know everyone who wins the Mega Millions or the Powerball. We know that there's a chain of custody with lottery tickets, but we don't know who won our federal elections. I mean, and don't fool yourself. The Republicans nor the Democrats really care to fix this, because they both benefit by you thinking that you have some sort of real say in who gets elected. But we don't even know who. Listen, you know who really is in charge of elections? Whoever made the call that night in November, when all the swing states out of nowhere, they all decided to stop counting. Remember that? There's this coordinated thing. Whoever made that call is actually the only person that's voting in this country. The only one who gets to determine who wins these elections, and it's not you. Our freedom, our ability to change our destiny in the sacrament of the ballot booth is a sick joke. But let's all just keep playing along. Let's not break the matrix. Let's just keep playing along so that this little game of Candy Crush, let's pretend it all means something. Speaking of fake, this past weekend at St. Alphonsus the Rock, Ligouri Parish in St. Louis, Missouri, we saw some parishioners perform some sort of cultural appropriation as something they would call the National Day of Prayer for African American and African families. So this celebration included some sort of liturgical dancing before the Mass began, before the entrance procession of the Mass began. It included some people wearing some sort of clothing that sort of looked like the Ghanaian pattern of some kente, and dancing according to some sort of tradition that I guess they're trying to look like African dancing, but what they were doing actually is not African dancing whatsoever. What they were doing belongs to no tribe whatsoever in any part of Africa. but watch this cultural appropriation here. if any white person had done this, all hell would have broken loose. Right? But because it was some black American women, we just let it pass. No. It's still cultural appropriation, and it's still cringy, and it's still inappropriate and wrong and fake. These people are not Africans. They're Black Americans. There's no such thing as an African American that's in this country, that's native to this country, right? When Jesse Jackson started the whole African American term back in 1998, it was just a race hustle. He was just trying to create a new class of people and really position himself as being a spokesperson for those people so he can hustle some more money out of Nike and then blackmail all these other organizations. It was never real. African American, it was always a joke from the beginning. No Black American in this country knows from what part of West Africa that their ancestors who were sold by their own people in West Africa to those slave traders. No one knows which tribe their ancestors come from. No one. And in fact, not all Black Americans in this country are from descendants of people who were sold by their own ancestors, right? So, but nobody knows. There's no such thing as an African American. It's just Black Americans. If you need to use that racist color type of thing that was started by white supremacists a little bit over 100 years ago to create this war between two peoples, this Black and this white, this grouping of all white people, no matter where you come from, Irish, Italian, right? They try to group, we're all white people and we're against these Black people. This it has racist roots from the beginning. But if we need to have these words before the word American, okay, Black Americans, right? But here they are, right? And I don't even know what this dance is, right? I mean, the word Ghanaian garb, but they're not doing any. So Ghana, the country in Africa, has over 100 tribes, which means there's over 100 tribal dances. And this ain't one. In Ghana, tribal dances, the large majority of them are all in the hip. That's where all the work is done, in the hip. And it's really not something that we want to see at mass in this country because we were associated with being sexual, right? But that's how Ghanaian tribes dance. I mean, I think there's one that uses arm movements, but it's like sign language. Every arm movement actually means something. So it's none of this arm movements that they're doing. I don't know where this is from. It's not Ghana. It's not associated with what they're wearing. So where's it from? Well, maybe it looks like it's kind of close. It could be a blend of some tribal things, some tribal dances out of Cameroon. It looks a little Batusi, a little Makusa maybe. It looks a little Koro Kure from Zimbabwe, but really none of that. Right? Barely any. I mean, but if you try to associate with something, because maybe I see a little bit of that, a little kure, but no, this is just bad. It's cultural appropriation. It's embarrassing. Again, if these were white people doing this, all hell would have broken loose. The same should be the case with Black Americans doing some cultural appropriation, some fake cultural appropriation of Africa. Every person from a country in Africa they should laugh. What's going on here? And I'm sure they are, right? In diaspora wars that's going on out there. This is a joke. It's embarrassing. And I don't even know why we even still allow this type of thing to take place during the Mass. But let me know what you think in the comments below. But please like, subscribe, and share. Hounds of Heaven.